Hello replay viewers. Well, today you get a look at not only my pencil, so welcome. So this is the third chat of many that I plan on getting on Periscope, just in an open chat format. And what I'm giving people the opportunity to do is to have somewhat of a say in what I see and do in Milan, Italy, Verona, Italy, and Rome, Italy. So, in the past 2 days, I've already had an open chat for Milan, Italy, and I had an open chat last night for Rome. So today we're going to talk a little bit about Verona and the way it's gone and the way it will go for the next. And I'll do this a bunch of times. I'm leaving in about 3 weeks' time, about 20 days. The way it'll go is I'm opening the chat for anyone that wants to drop in and have an opinion. So, in the beginning, I'll go ahead and explain what it is that I'm doing, just because I think, this may be the first time you're hearing about it. But after that, I'll just keep the chat open for about 20-25 minutes, just to see if anybody has an opinion about Verona. So, interestingly enough, hopefully I'll remember to speak to it. I actually just saw an English-speaking scoper in showing the Leaning Tower of Pisa. So, I'll mention that in a minute and what its significance is to me. But first, maybe a little bit of background. I'm from southern United States. However, I'll be going to Europe in just 3 weeks. So I'll be landing in Stuttgart, Germany. And then I'm going to drive a car from Stuttgart, Germany to Rome. And along the way, I'm going to scope. I'll scope in Germany, and then I'll scope in Switzerland. I'll scope the Swiss Alps if I have the coverage for that. And the first city that'll be along my trail there is going to be Milan. And I'll be there for a couple days. I know for certain that I'm going to scope some of the more popular destinations like the Duomo Cathedral and maybe the arcade that's next door to the Duomo. But outside of that, I'm just taking suggestions. So I'm going to have these open chats. I'm going to have them frequently. So if you're watching this on a replay, just hit the follow button. There'll be another open chat that pops up. It'll be the majority of my scopes between now and my trip are going to be open chats. There are a few things that I'd like to share, but right now my complete focus is on this trip. So I will be over there for a couple weeks, and I'm trying to make the best of those couple weeks. So again, today is about Verona, and I'll just keep cycling through. The next one will be about Milan, then Rome, then Verona. Milan, Rome, Verona. And of course, if we want to talk about the other cities, while I have an open chat about, for example, right now I have it about Verona, that's okay. But I figured it helps to put a name to it or put a title to it so that we can know what to focus on and what it is that's on my mind today. I do have my computer in front of me, and of course I've been looking up things to do and things to see in Verona. So that's about all the introduction that I'll have. One other thing, I already mentioned that I'll see a point of interest, but I do like to wander. I do like to see things outside of those main sites. So hopefully that's something that I'll be able to share with you. And if that's something that interests you, then go ahead and hit the follow button. If you want to continue the conversation, even if you're watching this on a replay, I had about half my viewers in the first chat were replay viewers as opposed to live ones. You can always just tweet me at Joshua229T, or I had an Instagram direct message. You can go Joshua229I on Instagram, and you can get a hold of me either of those places if you have an opinion or if you have a suggestion. So that's the updates on that. Now, what's something the Pisa? There's someone that's scoping the Leaning Tower of Pisa right now. It's live, and what I thought was interesting about that is my purpose, my goal in going to Europe and going to Germany and Italy as an American scoper is to bring, one, the outsider's perspective instead of being a local, and two, someone that speaks English for the entire scope. And I'm not sure how often you can check this, that people look at this, but there's simply I don't find very many English-speaking scopers in Italy in particular. They'll speak English if you speak English to them, but the scope is not dedicated to English. And what you find in some of the more creative parts of the world, as far as Periscope goes, you'll find if they're dual lingual, they will do one scope in English and then another scope in their native language. So I find that to be much more favorable, because the truth is, when I hop on the map for iOS and I see people scoping in Italy and the title's in complete Italian, and I go into the scope and they're speaking only Italian, it's not very encouraging for me to go into that scope and try to speak English. So I'm really hoping to bring an American's perspective and to bring a 100% English speaking scope to Italy in particular. Germany, there's almost no one scoping, so I think it'll be easy to scope in Germany. If people have an interest in Germany, people will show up. Hopefully you speak English when you drop in, but so I think that'll be a little easier. But that's what I look to bring to it. As that relates to the Pisa, they're actually being featured right now. They're number 3 on the list, or number 2 of 3 on the featured list. He said his name's Patrick, but when you log into this scope, he's maxed out. There's 100 people in the chat. Well, not everyone can chat right now, and he's showing the Leaning Tower of Pisa, but the engagement I didn't feel was there. I logged in for a couple minutes when I fired up Periscope. I logged in for a couple minutes before I turned the camera on, and there's no engagement. People are making these comments. People are excited. People are happy, and he's simply not. He's not following along with that conversation. So, based off his profile and based off of his accent or lack thereof, I think that the English is maybe his second language, and that's not a problem. I'm dedicated to watching someone that speaks English as a second language, and I have no problems with that. It's just with him, he doesn't have the confidence, and he's not carrying the conversation. So I'm really hoping that I can really pave the way for that when I go to Italy. So that's all the updates. I think I've been scoping for 5 minutes now with just updates and just an explanation and an overview of what it is that I'm doing. So if you're just trying to see what the title was about, 5 minutes that seems just about right. You didn't waste too much of your time. The rest of the time I will give it 15 to 20 more minutes, and if people drop in to talk about my trip, particularly Verona today, then we'll chat about it. But if not, there's no promises. So I may speak to something that I'm seeing on my computer screen as I'm sitting here, but that's all the updates. So short, sweet, and to the point in those 5 minutes. So that's the end of those, and no promises from here on out. Although the previous 2 did last up until I hung up, until I got off. As far as the conversation goes, there's no promises for each time you turn on the camera. So you guys also caught me while I'm drinking my espresso. So it makes it difficult. I'm looking. What I have in front of me are the points of interest, specifically in Verona, and I think what makes it difficult in general is that many of the things that are of interest to people that visit Verona, that are on like travel websites, and I got TripAdvisor, GoItaly.com, Walksof Italy, okay, virtual tours, TripAdvisor, things of this nature. The difficulty is that what they're showing is there's the Verona Cathedral, there's a famous bridge with arches from the 1350s. There's a nice plaza, which I have been to this plaza, so I can kind of vouch for its greatness. But these things, if you're going to Rome, it sort of messes it up. So, for example, I have the Basilica in Verona, and it's nice to see these basilicas. It's nice to see these sites. I'm not knocking them at all. However, it's difficult to compare them to Rome. So, the Colosseum that's there's actually, people don't know, there's a miniature Colosseum in Verona. It's a smaller version of the one that most people like in Rome, but this one is complete and is still active. So, this amphitheater, they actually call it, not the Colosseum. This amphitheater has been around for, I think, first century. So it's been around for a long time. Welcome. It's just your opportunity to speak about places that you think would be interesting in Verona, Italy. I'm also traveling to Rome and Milan, Italy in just 3 weeks' time, and I'm gonna take Scope with me. So I'll scope multiple times a day, and the viewers get somewhat of a say in what it is that I see. So if you like Italy, if you have an interest in that, so you can feel free to have an opinion. Piazza del Derby. What are the more famous plazas? This is right down the street from my hotel, so I've certainly been here. Ooh, maybe I haven't. This is not down the street from my hotel. They have an open market, apparently. This is something I have an interest in. So as you guys know, I have 2 phones. I've already shown that in the earlier part of the scope. The city of Houston's being featured. That's nice. That's not where I got on my phone. So guys, from the previous chats, I am actually writing down. If you're listening to this part of the conversation, it will be on Strictly Replay at the moment. But I have been writing down the suggestions that I've been getting. And in this case, the suggestion just came straight from Google. However, I've been informed that an absolute must place in Milan would be the stadium that's there, so that might happen. If you've never been to Italy, or for the most part, in many European countries, the plazas, or they spell a little different, piazza, I suppose. Those are the focal points. Those are the central cultural points of any city. And what it appears to be is that there's actually a plaza in Verona that I have not been to. And to be honest, I thought I had visited, really what there was to see. Oh, it has an obelisk in it. So this is nice. This is something different that I can see. It has an obelisk. Looks like an old church. Oh, perfect. And they're kind of active at night, so that's cool. And there's a fountain there, so if I can't find it based off the name, I can find it possibly based off the fountain. I do have one replay viewer that's watched both of these chats on the replay, and in the past, I don't know if they've watched some of my scopes on the replay as well. I seem to have, guys, if you're new to scoping, you got to realize time zones are important. So right now it's 9:43 in the morning. So for example, if Americans are particularly interested in seeing Italy, because most Americans haven't been to Europe, if they're interested in seeing that, I'm not going to catch that crowd right now. It's at 9:43, if you're sitting on Periscope, then you're not being very productive now, are you? So, and I know that speaks to me as well. However, I do have a very heavily planned out day. I've been up for a couple hours, and my day will not end until midnight tonight. So this is just the small bit of time that I could fit in a scope. So bear in mind time zones. Just because you turn on the camera and nobody's in the live views, there'll be replay viewers. Just keep in mind those time zones, and I cannot expect to see an American at 9:45 in the morning, or it's now 9:44 in the morning. However, you know, there could be an attempt to get some Europeans in the chat. That I thought this is a good time of day for some Europeans, but it is dinner time. It's about 5 p.m. right now, where I'm going. So keep time zones in mind, because you know your target crowd, the people that are most interested in what it is that you're doing, they just may not be available at the moment. So that's something to bear in mind, and it's something I don't mind. I mean, I've watched the stats too closely. I know that a lot of scopes get love on the replay end. Otherwise, this is going to go on my catch. So maybe people will watch me while I'm overseas in Italy, in Germany. Maybe they have an interest in seeing what the planning phase was like. So obviously, what happens during just these scopes is not all of the planning that goes into these trips. I've been actively engaged in both planning and paying for this trip since January of this year. So this is a long time coming. There's a lot of background work, and if you have a favorite scoper and they make it look easy, good for them. I'm glad that they're able to keep the background work in the background, and you guys just get to be a part of one very small part of the greater whole. So who knows? Maybe you're watching this replay based off of what you see live. I think I will most certainly go to this plaza, just because these are the cultural centers of the city, and based off the history here, this used to be the forum during the Roman Empire's time. This was their forum, and it's there's a fountain there. You know they love fountains in Italy. 1368, it was built, and it's Madonna Verona, which is wow. So this is really great stuff. I will most certainly see where this plaza is. I would love to know where it is on the map. I don't see the oh, here's the coordinates. The location. If you're going to scope and you're going to scope traveling, I think it helps to know two things. One, I just mentioned, time zones. You know, understand your target crowd. Obviously, it don't matter what time I'm scoping in Italy or in Germany, because locals aren't going to be interested. Well, probably not. Probably not. However, if you have an opinion about Verona, Italy, then I'd be glad to talk to you about it, dad or no dad. So this plaza, it looks nice. I'd love to see where it is. Nope. But that's probably that's 2 of 3. I appreciate you coming in and sidetracking, but you can't really sidetrack something that's not happening. So if you have an opinion, I have somebody else in the chat about Verona, Italy, or if you're interested, say hey, and we could talk about Italy travel. I'll also be going to Germany and Switzerland. However, Germany and Switzerland are not as negotiable. I won't be taking too many requests or suggestions for those 2 places due to the limited amount of time that I'll be in both of them. But in Verona, Milan, and Rome, Italy, I have a little bit of spare time and I have a little bit of flexibility in my schedule. So I'm just taking talking points from people, things that people have heard of, things that people are interested in seeing. But this is an open chat if you want to chat. Yes, I don't me. Let's see where this is. I'm from the southern United States. I'm from a beach town called Panama City, Florida. My location's not going to show that because I'm in my university town right now. I'll be taking Periscope to Germany and Italy. Where are you from? Where's home for you? Korea? That's awesome. That's awesome. There's some good scopers in Korea. Korea, it's kind of late there right now, right? Do you not scope, Howie? I've not been to Korea. I know a little bit about Korea just because I am an ESL tutor, and I've tutored a lot of people from Korea. I've tutored people from South Korea, and I've tutored a lot of people from Vietnam. So South Korea and Vietnam are kind of the most popular students. How about China? No, haven't been. So I've only been to Southeast Asia. I've only been to Southeast Asia and Europe. But if you're interested in Europe, that's what this whole scope is about. This chat is because I'm taking you guys in 3 weeks' time. I'll go to Germany, Switzerland, and Italy. So it'll be a nice little chunk of European culture if you're interested in that. Just hit the follow button and it'll happen in 3 weeks. Yeah, sure. I'll be showing Germany. So Germany, I'm very familiar with the area I'm going to. So I think it'll be a great time. I'm going to show some of my favorite cafes, some of my favorite castles in Germany. There'll be a lot going on in Germany. I'll show a whole lot of that, and I think it's nice to be able to see it and to discuss it. You know, you can always find pictures on the internet, but it's really nice to be able to have it in real time. So, yeah, definitely follow along. I mean, I'll have pictures on Instagram as well. So I'll hopefully be engaged enough for people to enjoy it. We had somebody else join here just now. Do you have an opinion about Verona or Rome or Milan? That's what this is about. It's an open chat about places that I visit in those 3 cities. Apparently not. All right. So have you ever been outside of Korea? Have you ever traveled out of Korea? Have you been to Venice? Hello. You live in where? I'm sorry. In Michigan? I thought you said Korea. Maybe I missed the beginning of this conversation. Maybe I'm talking to someone else. Welcome. Jenny, do you have anything you are anxious to see in, oh, you come from Korea. Anything that you're anxious to see in Verona? Come from Korea and you live in Michigan. Okay. Well, I grew up right next to Michigan in Ohio. That's why I do not have a southern accent. So I'm in the southern United States right now, but that's why I don't have their accent. Half Italian. Oh, man. It's a beautiful culture. A lot of people find it to be a little abrasive. Grew up in California? Okay. Oh, man. I'd love to go to California. That's one of the places I've least spent time in the United States. But, so half Italian. Have you been to Italy, Jenny? Yeah. What's your favorite part about going? I know I was talking to basically replay viewers and one other viewer a couple minutes ago. I'm probably going to go to the plaza, one of the plazas in Verona. I think that really, plazas in Italy are to me the heart of the culture in Italy. So you can really find a lot of the locals, and you find tourists, but you can really gather, I think, the essence of a city in those plazas. So I think it'll be really nice to show that. The amphitheater. Oh, they're definitely passionate. You see, the problem with, I think, most Americans are... Where are you from again, Jenny? The problem with most Americans are we find it to be too abrasive. Sweden? Okay. We find it to be too abrasive. Italians are straightforward. Italians are honest. And Italians don't like, we kind of talk in circles. Americans, we're not very direct. So when we get to Italy and the Italians are direct, I think Americans don't know how to handle it. However, you know, I'm pretty well traveled, not great, but I'm pretty well traveled. So so it's something that I'm used to. I think actually the most abrasive I've ever found while I was on the road traveling was actually in Paris, not in Italy. I mean, it's that passion and it's that severity in what people do that I thought was very attractive. I love the culture. Even though I've been to a cafe and I've been embarrassed. I've been very embarrassed. The guy was pretty upset with me. You know, it didn't bother me. I think that's what's so beautiful about it. It's just how serious that they take it. So, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with having that passion. So, you said go to Paris. Oh, it's beautiful. Listen, there's so many stereotypes about Paris, and some of those J. Morris Joe. Some of those stereotypes may be true, but at the same time, people don't give you the context. People don't understand the context. So, you know, a lot of Americans think that Parisians hate Americans, and that may be very well true, but they have to look at why. You know, as Americans, we go there, we don't try to speak French. We don't respect the local customs and cultures. We really go over there and it's not good. It doesn't look good, and Parisians don't appreciate it. Which is how I ended up in the spot that I did. I went into a cafe, and it was just something as simple as sitting in the wrong place because there was already mats laid out for lunch, and I nearly got cussed out for trying to order breakfast from a lunch table. But it's that passion. I couldn't even be mad at the guy. So it's a beautiful place. I would definitely recommend Paris to anyone, even if it's not your thing. It's a one-time thing. You at least got to try it. So I am more interested at the moment though in Italian culture, just because I love how each city holds its own type of flair, I guess is the word. Every city has something special about it, and you can go 20, 30 miles down the road, or in kilometers, 40 to 60 kilometers down the road, and you'll find something completely different yet similar. So I was talking about this plaza that I'm going to go to in Verona, and that's all over Italy. You're gonna find that these plazas. Yeah, I've been twice before. You're gonna find these plazas. They're gonna have all the culture of the Italians, of the local culture, and yet each city is different in its own way. So the plaza, for example, near the Duomo in Milan is going to be different from the Plaza Verona in Rome. I've actually been to the same 3 cities that I'm going. This trip, the reason that I'm able to scope it is because this is a repeat trip. I've already taken this trip in 2013. I'm landing in Stuttgart, Germany, and then I'm going to drive to Rome. And on my way down to Rome, I'll stop in Milan. And on my way back up to Stuttgart, I'll stop in Verona. And I'll drive through the Swiss Alps both times. So that's why I'm able to scope it, just because I'm familiar with some of the places. I'm familiar with just enough to scope it. But it's also still a little bit new. I've been to Rome 3 times though. So last trip I actually took was last year, but I flew directly into Rome. So, I'm American. I bring a different perspective, I think, and you don't find very many English-speaking people there. So, I think it'll be fun. I think it'll be interesting. So, and I really expect to find new things. I'm not going to lie. The first 2 times, the first Milan and the first Verona trip that I made, the weather, we had inclement weather. I did not expect it to be as cold as it was, and it rained. Vernazza. Where is Vernazza? I'm all for Vernazza. This is... Uh-oh. We're going to see about this Vernazza. Holy mackerel. You're from here? From Verona? Welcome back, Howie. Connection issues? This is beautiful. Are you joking? This is incredible. Genoa. Hi from Japan. Welcome. That looks like a place I could go to. That really looks like a place I could go to. Verona, that's beautiful. Either people are really good at taking photos of your hometown, or this is just a really nice place. Either way, this is great. I'm sorry, I missed the first part of your question, Howie. If you're asking when will I travel, it's in 3 weeks. I was looking at Verona on my computer, but I missed the first part of the question. Hold on, you can actually scroll the comments. Okay, well, maybe you just asked when. In 3 weeks. Here we go. Yes, it'll be fun. The first thing you'll see is Germany. Second thing you'll see is Switzerland. And then you'll see Milan. Verona is going to be last on my list. Actually, Heidelberg, Germany will be last on my list. But Verona will be my last Italian destination. So you said you're in... Did you say Sweden now, but you're from Verona, Italy? What are you doing in Sweden? Do you study? Golly. On the mountainside near the water. What do you study? Yeah, I think it'll be fun, Howie. I'm going to enjoy scoping it. I'm not going to lie to you. I've been to these 3 destinations before, but I will enjoy scoping it. You moved to Sweden to learn makeup? That must be very, very serious makeup. That's great. That's actually great. I'm not even being sarcastic. No, that's a great thing. There's no sarcasm. I think it's a beautiful thing that you're willing to give it 100%. And look, you're going to get to check out another country in the process. So I'm very jealous of you. It says in my profile, guys, I'm just a teacher. I'm actually not actively teaching right now because I'm in grad school. I'm getting my master's degree. But I teach social studies, high school. Drama makeup. This is special. I like this. Do you have an Instagram? I'll have to check you out. I'm still in love with your hometown here. This is amazing. So Howie, do you I think I asked you before about Verona, but do you know anything about Italy, or are you interested in anything in Italy? I believe I asked you just about Verona before. Welcome, Tazzy. Oh, everybody knows the city on water, yes? Venice. I think you're saying Vicenza. Great, great. I look forward to chatting with you. Hit me up on Twitter or Instagram. I'd love to see some of this makeup style. That'd be great. Having some beer with my friend. Oh, wow. All right, we'll see you soon. We have one last survivor. I think, yes, just Howie. Howie, I get to cut you off. I don't mind. I don't know if you scope. If you ever start scoping, don't worry about talking to a room with no people in it. Because I actually have as many replay viewers as I do live sometimes. Sometimes I have more replay viewers than live. It has to do with time zones. So don't worry about that. I'm going to scope every day. I'll probably scope in like 3 or 4 hours again. But when I scope in 3 or 4 hours, it's going to be about Heidelberg, Germany. So if I see you then, that's great. If not, give me a follow. We'll go to Europe together. You can always get a hold of me on Instagram or Twitter. My Instagram name's in my profile. My Twitter name is just Joshua229T. So hopefully I see you soon. But definitely if you see something you want to see in one of those 3 cities, just get a hold of me. Maybe I'll try to make it happen. Oh, that's great. I appreciate the follow. So we'll see you soon, and we'll continue this conversation later. But it is really nice meeting you. And for the replay viewers that are watching for the overall, I'll do more scopes with open chats like this soon. I'll do many, many of them. You can always go to my about.me/Joshua229T. I have an about me. It's Joshua229T. And on that about me, you can find all of my information of how you'd want to get a hold of me if you want to get a hold of me. Here, actually, I have it There we go. Here we go. This is like, here's a plug for me. Actually, that's showing up backwards. Hold on. Here's a plug for me. If you ever want to get a hold of me, I'm going to end on this. If you ever want to get a hold of me, this is how you get a hold of me. That bottom one, about.me, that has all of my contact information on it. That's all of my contact information. The YouTube will not have any videos on it yet. I'll add YouTube videos from Europe. So that's how you get a hold of me. Oh, great. And if you're wanting to replay, use one of those to get a hold of me. But we'll see you guys soon, and thanks for the couple that have joined us. And if you're watching replay, thanks for watching to the end. Bye for now.